some areas are just creepy, strange. And it gets creepy at night because you can't see too well. That being said, have you ever thought about all the things that do happen when you can't see them? It's a strange thought, I guess. There's many things. As you know, I am a funeral director, and I've had some experiences which I've shared before, but not all of them. The other day, actually, I had an experience in the funeral home. I had to place a deceased person into a private room so a family could see him. The room does have a handle, the lock. The lock can be locked on the inside with a knob, and on the outside can be locked only by a key. I went in the room, I prepared the deceased, and then I shut the door. When I came back, it was locked, and there was nobody in the building except me and the dearly departed. Now, I'm not saying anything ghostly happened, but this is also the second experience I've had in less than 1 month. I told you about the other experience that I found an abandoned bathroom that has been out of service for decades. The door was open, and it should not have been. Don't know why. I peeked in. Nothing was there. I closed the door. 2 loud bang bangs happened as soon as I closed the door. And then I opened the door again, and I saw nothing. I mean, I'm the only one in the building. How did that room get locked? It can be locked from the inside, but nobody was there except a deceased person. And the outside, it can be locked with a key. I had the key. Very strange. Very, very strange. Have you any stories to share?
Besides stories that I have had on the job, I've also had personal experiences. As I told you before, my wife and I have done some ghost hunting, have never collected any evidence, but I've had many personal experiences. We all got started, I guess, curiosity by watching Ghost Hunters and then Ghost Adventurers. Zach Bagans of Ghost Adventures hails from Nevada, and he first started his ghost hunting on camera in Virginia City, Nevada. And this picture behind me here, yes, hello, behind me, is the cemetery of Virginia City at Virginia City, Nevada. My wife and I have been there a couple times, and we've never caught anything on camera, but it's interesting. And so our ghost stories are probably more personal, or I should say the paranormal stories. I want to tell a story about that was from my uncle, who's now passed away. But there's a story that my mother reminded me the other day. When my uncle was working for a plastic manufacturing company, he was also living on the premises. There was an apartment there. Anyway, it was a new job for him, and he and his girlfriend just moved into the apartment, and he was uh, definitely going to start his job the next day. But the first night that they actually lived in that apartment, they decided not to continue with the job. What happened was, when they moved in there, he started having paranormal activity. There were items on the table that were being thrown in the air by an unknown entity. Cannot see this. And this entity that you couldn't see actually even, I guess, sucker punched my uncle. He felt it, he couldn't see it, and he flew across an entire room in the apartment. And when that happened, of course he freaked out. He and his girlfriend ran out and he quit the job. Don't blame him. For myself, when my father died and I went to his funeral, after I left his funeral, I had to travel back on road, and I stopped in a high country town called Bridgeport, and it was snowing and cold. It was like 4 degrees outside, and it's a small little community. We had to spend the night there, my wife and I. So we got a hotel room, and when I parked there, it looked like we were the only people there. It was like January and snowing and cold and 4 degrees outside. But we had to head home. My father's funeral was up in Redding, California, and we had to go get back down to Southern California, back to San Diego. So on that night, when we went into the hotel room, the car was parked right in front of the hotel door, and we all went to sleep. It was myself, my wife, and my mother and father-in-law. And when we were sleeping, in the middle of the night, I don't remember what time it was, we heard a bang bang, a knocking on the door. And this is in the middle of nowhere, Bridgeport, California, middle of the night. Bang bang on the door. It woke me up, and I noticed that there was some light coming in for some reason, the window. So everybody was scared because we're in the middle of nowhere. What's going on? I went to the door, opened it up, and real fast, and I saw nobody there. And I looked around, and there were no other cars. And I looked down the walkway, and it was all covered with snow. There were no footprints. I couldn't see who in the heck knocked on the door. But here's the other strange thing. The lights on my car were on. And I know I did not leave the lights on. I went to sleep. Everything's dark. Bang, bang on the door. Wake up. There's lights coming in through the window. My car lights are on. So I'm freaking out. I went to the car. It's locked. Nobody's inside. I open it up. I turn the lights off. It was a manual switch. And then I locked it back up again. Again, I looked around the parking lot. I saw nothing. And then that was it. It's freaky. So this is the evening of my father's funeral. All right, this is the evening. So I don't know what that was. Um, and what's even more strange is 1 year later, literally 1 year later, my father died around his birthday, a couple weeks after. So 1 year later, on his birthday, at midnight, around midnight, I was asleep, I was at home. My neighbor next door at the time was a gentleman who worked at a local Indian casino, and he worked the graveyard shift nights. So he was getting ready to go to work, and he noticed something. He saw the lights of my car, the same car I had up in Bridgeport. The lights of my car came on again, all by themselves. Just came on. And he saw it, and he said, around midnight, David. The thing is this, I didn't know that happened until the next morning when I was getting up, getting ready to go to work the day. I just glanced outside and noticed my car lights were on. And I thought, oh my goodness, why are my car lights on? I know they are turned off. And later on in the day, after I got back from work, I was crossing paths with my neighbor, and he told me he saw. And I was thinking how strange that was, because those lights were on the day of my father's birthday, a year after his death. And you know what's more strange than that? This kept happening after his birthday. Those lights keep coming on their own in the middle of the night on the car for several weeks, different nights, randomly, but they always came on in the dark. And I had to go to the car dealer. I couldn't figure out what was going on, and honestly, they looked and looked and they couldn't find out what's going on. They could never find an answer to why it was happening. Eventually it stopped, but that is a real personal, freaky, paranormal experience, I think. But I'm interested in hearing your experiences. Would you please share them? Come on, let me know. Look, strange things can happen. Ghost stories can be true, and I am here to tell you that the paranormal may be true. What do you think?